How did Jordan Morgan look yesterday in the padded practice, and how did he get through that?
He looked good, and he looked good today. So,
A competition with him and Sean for week one, or how do you have any feel for how you're going to handle?
it's always a competition.
How about right now tonight?
That's what I've said for months. I feel like years. Yeah.
That's about regardless of whether you want to tell us.
We have a plan. Yep, we have a plan.
Sean responded, I mean, you kind of,
With Sean.
Ryan, still on, because, we talked about his conditioning, and when we talked to him, he's like, yeah, he's right, I gotta get in better condition.
I'll tell you what, that he is one accountable guy. Anytime you say something to him, he always takes accountability, and I think that's an important part of this. You got to know yourself, and you got to know what you're good at and where you can improve. And to his credit, he always takes accountability, and he's putting action behind it. I do think he's in a much better position than he ever has been. So I'm excited to see what he does this year.
Are you spreading anything out, in terms of introducing game plan or anything? Like, we do anything in Brazil other than just a simple one?
No, we're gonna get our whole plan in, and then we have a plan for when we get there in terms of what we're gonna do. But our plan will be in by the time we get on the plane. Not to say that it's just like anything. Week one, I think you might have some ideas for potential adjustments that you're gonna kind of hold back, and then in game potentially. I just don't want to bog the guys down with too many thoughts. So I think once the plan's in, and then you just got to be ready as a coach to make adjustments. And it's not going to be anything crazy that we've never done before. And I would expect the same from Philly.
I know Matt Klein is there, and maybe a few others. Have they said anything, or have you gotten any word just about the air quality down there, and if that's...
Right now, no idea.
With everybody practicing and acknowledging that it's always a competition, so you had 5 weeks of training camp to kind of get a feel for everybody. But are there spots up for grabs from getting to 53 to 48, or even 70 to 48?
Yeah, I think every week there's always some tough decisions that it's going to come down to, whatever factors it may, whether it's on teams or maybe there's a certain matchup you want to see on a certain week. So. But those are constant conversations, and basically what I told our guys, whether you're on the 53 or you're on the practice squad, it really doesn't matter. In today's NFL, with the ability to call people up, everybody has to prepare like they're the starter, and that's what I expect out of our guys, is they have to get ready to play, because you don't know when your opportunity is going to present itself, and you better be ready for it, because you might not get a second one. So all these guys have to prepare that way.
Hey Matt, you said very clearly yesterday your focus is on the Eagles, but A.J. Brown said earlier in the week, that Sirianni had a meeting and there was a list of don'ts to do on this trip. Have you talked to your guys about this is not the same as a road trip to...
I've only talked to our guys about the Philadelphia Eagles and what we need to do.
Let's address that.
We have not talked about it.
Matt, do you have to make any... Sorry. Do you have to make any concessions, or will you guys be able to get to the stadium either earlier on Friday, or at least get there a little bit Thursday to look around and see what it's like? Or is it just going to be a regular show up however many hours beforehand that you normally do?
Yeah, same as we do every week.
How's Malik progressing?
Willis?
Yes.
He's doing a good job.
Found out that there's enough carryover between schemes that he's able to assimilate here fairly quickly.
Yeah, I think he knows what he's doing. Again, it's still the refinement of everything, the details, the fundamentals, but he's working hard at it.
You mentioned the fundamentals. Is that a big change for him?
I think everybody maybe might coach footwork a little bit differently, and I've said it a million times in here, like I think that's the foundation for good, consistent quarterback play. It always starts with the feet. I mean, certainly these guys, you better have arm talent or you're not going to even have an opportunity to come into this league, and he certainly has that. It's just about the refinement of the footwork and what we're asking our guys to do.
Matt, does the whole practice squad travel, or just the guys who are elevated?
It'll be a select. It'll be a select few.
like during the regular season? What do you normally?
Again, select, I would say. And each week could be different. We could have more or less dependent upon, where we are. Typically, I would say this, it depends when you're playing, quite frankly, because with us playing a Friday game or a Monday game, that's a little bit different than when you're playing on a weekend, on a Sunday. So, because you got to declare those guys prior to leaving on a regular road trip. We got to do that on Saturday if we're going to call them up for a Sunday game. Right? When you're playing on Friday or Monday, you can do it the day of the game, and then you're off and running.
Matt, they got a rookie who'll probably start at corner, and you have some rookies who are probably going to play in the secondary. Has anything changed in how these guys can compete at that position? Is it that they're being forced into these positions, or do you think that guys are coming in more prepared to be able to play?
I think every situation is a little bit different. I think it just a lot of is dependent upon what you're asking guys to do and what they're capable of handling. And certainly you want to make sure that you never want to put a guy in a position that you haven't put him through before in practice. So I think that's important. And I would say just everybody's got a different learning curve. Some guys pick it up a little bit faster than others. And we're lucky, and I can only speak to our guys in terms of just their ability. I think that we've got some pretty good, what we call FBI guys, football intelligence. It's just, I think that it's been easy for them, and they've been able to pick it up. And certainly that's one thing that you always look for, I think, especially from the scouting aspect, is how fast do guys learn, and are they rep guys, or, can you tell them and they can take it from the classroom to the field.
Hey, Matt, you didn't have Christian for the opener last year, right? If I remember correctly.
Watson? Yeah, I don't believe so.
Using last names, I'm not very good today. So how different is it to have him having gotten through training camp healthy, and what does that do for your offense to actually be able to hit the ground running with him?
Yeah, I think, we all have seen how explosive and dynamic he is as a playmaker, whether we're handing off a jet sweep like we did a couple years ago in Chicago, or, in the passing game, making great catches. So he is an important part of what we do. He's a big, physical, fast guy, and not many of those guys exist. So we certainly are a better offense when he's at full strength.
So you got Jacobs in March. Did you start right away kind of as a play caller and an innovator offensively, start thinking about, okay, all these different kind of ways I can use him, and what has that process been like for you? Because you're now on the cusp of actually using him.
Yeah, I would say from a run standpoint, you're going to run your run schemes, and certainly, like, the more experience you get with somebody, you find out what they like, what they're best at. But I would say definitely from a pass standpoint, how you can utilize them in the passing game, whether some guys are check down guys, some guys are creative route runners. And I think you just got to go through the process and throw some stuff at him and see how he does with it. And it'll be an interesting year to see what he can do.
More, please.
Is that too close to game plan to ask if he's turned out to be both those things?
Yes.
Lane Johnson's been around forever, and everybody knows how good he is. But what about on the other side, Jordan Mailata? What's been your impression of that kid?
I think he's one of the best in the game. I think he's really good. Certainly, he's just big and athletic. And I think Philly, over the course of the years, especially the last handful of years, 5 years or so, have had one of the best offensive lines in the game of football. And I know they obviously losing Kelsey that's a tough guy to replace, but they had 5 guys that can start at most teams. So it's going to be a good challenge for our defense for sure.